working on the 2-valve build that I'm currently doing. It's got stage 2 trick flow cams that I'm going to be installing, and they're slightly used, but my customer got a pretty good deal on them, so we're doing a pretty considerable build on this thing. It's based off a stock 2002 2-block. The car's actually a 2001, but this block was swapped in there by the previous owner, so it's at least a little fresher. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty sweet build. What we're looking at here is a Vortec V1 Supercharger. It's got the bracket for the 2-valve. Again, that was bought slightly used. My customer got a pretty good deal where he got the SCT tuner, the trick flow cams. He got the Vortec V1, a bigger MAF right there, and if you go back here, he also got, just bear with me, I already put this in, and it's going to be, if you can see that under there, it's going to be the Walbro 255 liter per hour drop-in pump, and it's still set up for returnless, but the computer controls the voltage that goes to it for the pressure, so that can be adjusted on the tune. And previously, bear with me here if you can see under here, let's get down under there, I put BBK long tubes on there, fabbed up a setup for the BBK X pipe. It goes back to the Flowmasters that were already on the cars. It's got 2.5 inch, so that came out pretty sweet. Putting the BBKs in was a bit of a nightmare. If anyone that's done it, I'm sure you can imagine. So I had to undo the motor mounts and kind of raise up the engine, and it's just hard to reach in these 2 valves, but they're in there, so that's a big part of it done. Let's come back up top. I got all the supporting parts to do this, because if you're going to put the cams, you got to do it right. So I've already got them on the passenger side, but there's the other 8 springs right there. So there's our comp 625 lift beehive springs. You always want to go with the best parts in the internals. You know, you don't want to be messing around with knockoff parts that are going to fail. It's got the comp steel retainers. Over here we got new Melling lifters, pretty much mandatory stuff if you're going to go with some new cams. Got new timing chains in there, new tensioners, new guides. Right here we have Siemens Deca 60-pound injectors, so we'll have to tune the computer for that. So you got to watch out too, because there's a lot of knockoff injectors going around, but these are the real deal, the real Deca injectors. So we'll have plenty of fuel between the 255 pump and those injectors. So yeah, it should be pretty sweet. We're not going to be doing any crazy amount of boost. We're probably looking for something in the 8 psi range. The goal is around 450 wheel. If it does more than that, then great. Which doesn't sound like a lot by today's standards, but you got to figure a 01 Edge body is a lot lighter than the newer cars. So, you know, a lot of the newer muscle cars are pushing 3,700, 4,000 pounds. The new GT500's what, like 4,200 pounds or something crazy. So, if you're in a car that weighs, you know, 3,300 pounds, you're 800 pounds lighter than another car. I mean, that's pretty much the general physics rule of thumb is about 80 horsepower. You know, 80 horsepower would be about 800 pound equivalent if you figure about 10 pounds per, you know, well, let me put it this way, probably about 10 horsepower for every 100 pounds. So, you know, if you're in a car that's almost 1,000 pounds lighter, if you have 450 wheel, it'd be almost like having 550 wheel in a heavier kind of newer car. So anyways, but yeah, it's got the longer belt to go with it. It's pretty nice little setup. He got a pretty good deal on it too. So a couple of parts are slightly used, but it was barely even used, in pretty good shape. So but yeah, that's it. Today I'm gonna be putting in the rest of the valve springs on the driver's side. So that's just kind of a time-consuming process. And I got an air-to-air intercooler coming as well. So let me show you this tool. I had to get this right here in order to do the valve springs on the 2 valves. You can't really reach it with the overhead valve tool. So what that does is it pushes down the valve spring, and then you're able to change them. So yeah, let me get back to work on this. I will give you guys an update. We're going to have some videos going into the dyno, show you guys what this puppy ends up putting down. For all you people out there still running a 2-valve, this might be a pretty good little guide and just on how to get your 2-valve running pretty good. So again, Trick Flow Stage 2 cams. So Vortec V1. So it's going to be a pretty sweet little setup. So let me get these springs and cams in there and I'll get back to you guys.